There's a legal loophole that stops debt collectors cold every time you use it, and it's not what you think. My name is Mike Waslick. I'm one of the lawyers at Ricardo & Waslick here in Florida, and together with my partner Jason Ricardo, when debt collectors give you hell, we help you give it back. And today I'm going to tell you that legal loophole that you can use to stop a debt collector dead in its tracks when they try to collect money from you. So what is this loophole? It's not let me see the wedding signature. It's not I don't have a contract with you. It's not straw men or capital letter theories. And it's not even you don't own the debt. It's something completely different, because those defenses usually don't work. And debt collectors really hope that you never find out about the ones that do work. And that's what I'm here to tell you today. Every time a debt collector tries to collect a debt from you, every email, every phone call, every text message, and every letter, they have to obey one particular federal law called the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act, or the FDCPA. That law contains 53 separate provisions that they have to obey every time they try to collect a debt from you and every time they try to contact you. And every single one of those 53 provisions is another trap they can step in every time they try to collect a debt. And if you know how to spot those violations, you can turn the tables on your debt collector for good. And here's something that most people don't realize. It doesn't matter if you owe the debt or not. It doesn't matter how big or small or how old or how new the debt is. Every debt collector has to obey the law every single time. And if they break the law, then they owe you money. And usually they're going to owe you more than they're trying to collect from you. And that's how the power flips. Instead of a debt collector taking your money, you're taking theirs. And there's nothing that makes a debt collector's blood run cold like the prospect of having to pay money from somebody that they were trying to collect from. And we see this happen all the time, like in the case of our client Bob, who was accused of owing a $57 debt that we thought was misstated or inflated, and we ended up turning that $57 debt collection into a $3,000 check in his pocket. So let's talk about some of the most common ways debt collectors violate these 53 provisions of the FDCPA, how you can spot them, and how you can turn them to your advantage. First, a debt collector breaks the law whenever they use a false or misleading representation when they're trying to collect a consumer debt. This means that every time they communicate with you or with any third party, if they misstate any critical fact relating to that debt, they are breaking the law. And usually the biggest lie is about the amount of the debt or whether the debt is even owed. Some common examples we see are where a debt collector adds unauthorized fees or charges to the balance, or whether they lie about dates or times when the payments were made or not made. And sometimes debt collectors will even claim that a debt is still owed after it's been paid or settled or discharged. And one of the most important things to remember about false or misleading statements in connection with a debt collection is that also includes any statement a debt collector makes on your credit report. If a debt collector lies about the timing of payments, the amount of payments, or the amounts due, or whether an amount is due, all of those things are false representations that can potentially be violations that you can sue them for. And most importantly, this also applies to every communication a debt collector makes with a credit bureau. So every time they're making a mark on your credit report, if it is false or misleading in any way, that is possibly a violation. If they misstate the balance, if they misstate the timing or amount of payments that you've made, if they misstate when the debt first went into default or when it's going to come off your credit report, all of those are potential opportunities for you to get leverage against a debt collector who has broken the law. And when a debt collector makes a false statement on a credit report, it can have massive consequences on your ability to get a home loan, a car loan, or any other type of credit. It can cost you hundreds, thousands, or even hundreds of thousands of dollars in undue interest or denied credit opportunity. So if a debt collector is lying about the amount, the timing, and the status of your debt, that's a potential violation for you to follow up on that you can use to turn the tables against them. The second thing we often see debt collectors do is when they leak information about your debt to third parties. They're not supposed to drag other people into your business. Now, a debt collector who's trying to find you, trying to get what they call location information on you, has a limited ability to contact third parties, but only for the purpose of trying to get contact information so that they can reach out directly to you. There are tight limits on what they are and are not allowed to say when they are gathering location information for purposes of trying to contact a consumer directly. We've seen cases in our firm where debt collectors would send text messages to ex-spouses, where they would mail letters to the wrong address that people opened and discovered about the debt, or they try to reach out to employers or other people and leak information about the debt collection itself instead of simply trying to acquire that location information. Those kind of tactics can cost a debt collector thousands of dollars for even a single violation. Another type of violation we see is improper collection during the debt validation phase. Now, if you've watched any of our videos and you see anything about debt validation letters, you'll know that you have a right to send a letter to a debt collector to request validation or verification of the debt. They have to reach out to the original creditor, gather information about the debt, and then provide that to you so that you can make an informed decision about whether or not the debt is yours and whether it's being accurately stated. And while they're in that gathering process, until they send you that information, they are not allowed to continue collection. That includes contacting you to collect the debt, by mail, by phone, by text, by email. It also includes making fresh updates to your credit report while you're in that debt verification phase. So if you followed our advice and you've timely mailed a debt verification validation request to a debt collector and they haven't responded yet, but they continue to try to collect from you, that's a violation. Another provision of the FDCPA prevents them from engaging in harassing or abusive behavior when they're trying to collect a debt. They can't bully you or try to wear you down or exhaust your patience so that you just surrender and give them whatever money they're asking. Now, the way most people think of harassment versus the way the law looks at harassment aren't always the same thing, but there are certain types of conduct that clearly fall within the harassment zone. If they threaten you with violence or arrest, if they use profanity or other abusive language, or even if they just keep calling you after you've told them you don't want to pay or you want them to stop calling, all of those can rise to the level of harassing behavior. If a debt collector uses abusive language or threatens things they can't or don't intend to do, if they use language that's designed to stir up your emotions, make you angry or fearful, all of those things can be violations, all of those things can be harassment, and each of those things are something that you may want to try and recover for. Each one of those things is something that you can use to get leverage in your favor. And the reason that's such a common violation is because those tactics work, and most people don't know that they have a right to fight back. Another violation we see all the time is that debt collectors have turned themselves into digital stalkers. It's creepy and it's an invasion of your privacy. And that means it's probably also a violation of the law. Debt collectors have ramped up their surveillance technology to follow you around from place to place so that they know more about you that they can use to their advantage, snooping on you remotely so they can gather more information about you without you knowing about it. Debt collectors will bury tracking codes in their text messages and emails. They'll use tracking software on their websites to track you from place to place and see what messages you respond to best so they know exactly what words to use to shake the most money out of you. Now, that's not collection, that's surveillance, it's creepy, and it's almost certainly illegal. Those are just a few of the 53 ways a debt collector can break the law when they're trying to collect a debt from you. And before I tell you how you can use those to your advantage, I'm going to let you know that in the description we have a link to an email series that will describe each of the 53 violations and how you can spot them in your own cases. So once you spot a violation, how do you use it? Well, the FDCPA provides that when a debt collector breaks the law, you have a right to sue them for money damages, including statutory damages. Now, it might sound scary to file a lawsuit against a debt collector, but the reality is it's not as hard as you might think it is. And the best part is, if there's a real violation, your lawyer is going to be free. So if you're in Florida and you think a debt collector is breaking the law and you want help turning the tables on them, reach out to us at the contact information in the description below this video. We'll have you set up an appointment with one of our lawyers to review your case and determine if you have good cause to sue a debt collector for violating the FDCPA. If you want to know a little bit more about what this process looks like, I want you to watch the video I'm going to put on screen now. It goes into a little more detail about how you can find violations and use them against a debt collector so that they pay you instead of the other way around. Thanks for watching. I'll see you on the next one.